Hello everyone, long time no see. It's been a while since my last video. Today I wanted to show you a quick tutorial, a bending animation tutorial for Keyshot and basically from Blender. When I was doing some of my earlier projects, I wish there was a tutorial like this on YouTube, but then I figured out like 2 weeks ago, it's not complicated at all. I just wish there was something like this on YouTube, so I thought maybe I should just do a tutorial myself and put it on YouTube in case if anyone wants to use it in the future or for a present project. So let's begin. This is a hook. As you can see, I did not model this. I got it from GrabCAD. And what we want to do, Blender does not accept Solidworks file. Yeah, Solidworks file. So we can do a few things. We can save this as an STL. Apparently I cannot talk today. Which will lose a lot of its details if it's a more detailed model. I mean, this is just a really basic model. So it doesn't matter with this one, but I recommend you do not save it as a STL. In one of my older videos, I did show you to save it as an STL file. You can still do it if you want to, if it's a very basic model. But let's say this is a complicated model and you want to bend it. So I'm just going to save it on my desktop and I'm going to call it hook. Okay, let's call it Captain Hook. How about that? And I'm going to save it. There we go. We can close SolidWorks now. And we have our Captain Hook. We go to Keyshot. The next part is to take it into Keyshot. So I'm going to open my Keyshot 10, a new file, and I'm going to open this Captain Hook file that we had. So it's going to be here. And everything is fine. Importing Captain Hook. So we have this Captain Hook here. We don't have to really touch it or anything. I mean, you can just add a color to it. White is fine. Yeah, because my default background color in Blender is just like blackish, so I'm just going to keep it white. So that's fine. And the next thing we want to do, we want to export this as either a OBJ or a FBX file. So what is the difference? I'm going to tell you the difference. We can save this as an OBJ first. Let's go to desktop. Captain Hook OBJ. And we can also save it as an FBX. Captain Hook FBX. Save it. And so this is just basically one solid body. I'm gonna go open my Blender. Blender, great software. If you don't have it, go download it from their own website. I'm gonna delete this, and I'm gonna import it. Import my OBJ file. So what this OBJ file does, basically, all right, there we go. So what does this do? It actually, basically, if you have multiple models or like surfaces in your file or in your Keyshot file, then it imports them all together as just one singular body, which you probably don't want to. In our case, it's just one solid body, so it doesn't matter. But if you have, say, a shoe that you want to do the bending animation, and there are obviously multiple bodies, you don't want to import it as the OBJ file. You want to import it as the FBX. So you still have all those separate bodies separate, basically. So I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to import the FBX. And, oh, did it import? Nope, it did not. So one thing that's really annoying with FBX, importing FBX stuff, it actually imports, as I said, all the separate bodies, all the separate surfaces and different surfaces and everything. But it also imports cameras. It imports, yeah, that's it. It just imports the cameras as well. So I'm just going to delete this camera since we don't want it. And also, it messes with the scale. So it's, as you can see, this is way smaller than what we had as with the OBJ file. So you can obviously change that in Keyshot if you want to. But again, if you have a simple object, a product like this, it's just one single body, and you want to bend it, you can do OBJ. But here we are. I'm just going to use FBX. So this is my hook. And since it's just one single body, we don't have to merge anything, or we don't have to parent anything together. I can go more in depth for like next week. Maybe just like look out for a part 2 bending animation or something. I don't know. So we have this, and I'm gonna go to modifier properties. I'm gonna add a modifier, and it's the simple deform modifier. And as you can see, it's modified, right? It's deformed. So yeah, we can do twist, we can do taper, we can do stretch, and we can do bend. So in order to have more control over it, what we can do, we can choose an origin for it. So what do I mean by that? As you can see here, you can like click on an origin if you have anything like an axis or like another product or another model or anything. But right now, since I really don't have anything else, I'm gonna add an empty axis. It's just you go to add, you go to empty, and then it's a plain axis, and it's just there now. You can change it just like, or you can move it just like a regular model. So since we have it, we're just gonna do a quick test, and I'm gonna do the empty. It was this one, right? Yeah. Okay. So as you can see now, it's bending based on that empty axis origin. I'm just gonna call this. I'm gonna call this something else. Origin empty. There we go. All right, so it's not confusing. Origin empty, and as you can see, we can just move it around. You can do X, Y, Z. It's really weird, and Z. Yeah, that. So just gonna keep it at X. So one thing you can do if you, where do you go? Nope, sorry. There we go. One thing you can do, you can actually move the axis, as I said. So we're gonna click on the axis, we're gonna press G, and then we're gonna move it. As you can see, our hook also moves with it. So if you don't want any deformation at all with your model or your product, the center of the axis has to be on top of the center of your model. So if I just get out of that, you can see this dot here. That's basically the origin or the center of my model. So you can just, you can just like eyeball it and then like bring it here, like right around here. So now this is not being deformed while it's bending, which is a good thing. Maybe you have an object that you don't want it to deform. So there's that. Again, you can change the angle. The restrictions, basically the restrictions, you can tell Blender how many percentage or how much of the model you want to bend, basically. So right now this is at 1, so it means you don't want to bend any of it, and then this is at 0, so 0 to 1. I don't exactly know. I don't exactly know what the difference between these two are, but just like I just play with it and I just figured it out. So as you can see, it's only bending the ring here, and it's not bending the hook itself. So if I lower that, then it's not bending anything, or if it is, it's just very slight. So we can just play with that if you want to. This is 0, and this is like 1, and this is like only bending the tip of the ring here. So you're gonna need these two options if you want to play with the animation and other stuff. And remember, if you want to make an animation, which I'm gonna teach you in a second, actually. Let's do the animation first. So I'm gonna do 0 here, and it's basically that. And then I want to add a keyframe here to my animation timeline. So I can just, this is 0, I can just click on this, and then as you can see, we have a keyframe. Now you can go to say 30, and then you can change this to 150, and then you can click on this again, and then there we go. You have basically a very basic animation, and it goes like this. Now it's a little laggy because I'm also recording my video and my screen, so that's why the Blender is a bit laggy, but it shouldn't be this laggy. It's actually pretty smooth. So again, just like Keyshot, you can change, or you can move the keyframes. You can change the easing mode, automatic easing, and we're just going to do just ease out, for example. And we can see how it's going to look like. It's just going to ease out on the 20th frame. And what you can do, you can obviously do a lot with the animation timeline. I'm going to duplicate this to say 25. So it's just going to stay there for 5 frames. And I'm going to copy this, just Control C, and I'm going to go to frame 40, and I'm just going to Control V it. So as you can see, we have this animation here, this basic animation. It's just going to go up, and that's basically it. And I'm going to just change this to 50. So this is basically it. So as you can see, there are these dots like next to almost anything in Blender, any like features in Blender, and that's just adding a keyframe. So if you like click on it, it will add a keyframe. So let's say this is X. We're gonna go here again. It's X, and then let's do 100. We go to frame 60, for example. We're gonna go Y, and then we're gonna put 1 there, and also we're just gonna do something like that, and then we're just gonna put another keyframe there. So now, as you can see, it bends to its right, and then it stays there. It bends back up, and then now it bends, which it doesn't. I should. There we go. Yeah, I should probably go here, and this should be Y. So no, I'm gonna change the frame 41 to Y, and it should bend forward now. So as you can see, Blender is pretty powerful. Now I can go over some more, a little bit more advanced stuff, probably next week, to like teach you how to, if you have like multiple objects in your scene, how you can move them all together, or how you can bend them all together. So that's just basically part 1 for you all. I'm gonna save the Blender file itself, go to desktop, and I'm gonna save it as what? Captain Hook Blender. Save Blender file, and so now for the animation, you want to export the animation, save it, and then import it into Keyshot. Now, if you've seen my older videos, you know how to do it. Actually, I'm just gonna change this to 60, so we don't save the rest of it. And so basically, what you want to do, you can go to File, you can export it as an Olympic file .abc. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna save it on my desktop, Captain Hook, whatever, yeah. Okay, export the Olympic. So it's just gonna, I don't know, it's just gonna export the frames, I guess. And that's it. I'm gonna close this. We don't need it anymore. I'm gonna go to my Keyshot, and I'm gonna show you what I was talking about the scale. So we're just going to import. Where's the import? And I'm gonna go to my desktop and Captain Hook FBX OBJ. Where is it? Here, Captain Hook Blender ABC, and this is inches. I changed it to it's usually millimeters. I wanted to see if it changes the scale, but I couldn't. Let me know if you do find like a way for it not to change the scale. So I'm gonna import the animation, and it's importing. And I do not see where it is. Oh, it's okay. It's right there. So if you zoom out, you can see how small it is compared to its original size. And yeah, it's also 25.4. So what you can do, you can just change the scale if you certainly have to. Oh, 1,000. Oh, see, it was 1,000 of my original scale. So it's usually just a round number. So in my case, it was 1,000. It was just a lucky guess. And we're just gonna click OK. And if you open your animation timeline, you can see that we have an animation, and it's just gonna start bending it and go, yeah, that. So we can click on it. We can put just a metallic paint on it. Let's say, no, let's say 0.75. So we have a little bit of shininess. We go to material graph. So one thing with these ABC files imported from Keyshot is that if you put a label on them, the label won't actually attach to the model when the model is moving. So one thing around it you can change. I'm gonna actually show you. So we're gonna add. Oh, there you go. Actually, I do not know how to bring that back. Where is it? Model set Windows Cloud Library. Library is it the library? The Cloud Library. No, it's not the Cloud Library. Here's I guess another tutorial for you. Oh, materials. It's M. Okay, so it's just M. So you go to textures and let's add a label. Labels. Okay. Here's we have a Keyshot label and it's fine. Black is fine. And we're just gonna do plastic. I'm gonna connect this to opacity and I'm gonna connect this to a label. And well, first of all, you can't see it, so we're just gonna have to position it manually yourself, which we can't for some reason. Oh, maybe it's because this has to be a color invert, right? I think so. Let's change this to red and maybe not. Let's see. No, maybe it's the sizing, and it is not. Maybe it was not the color invert, and it's just that. Why can I not find this? And I cannot position this, so I'm just gonna, maybe it's just like that. I'm gonna put this, I'll go past, there we go. And it was because it was black, it wasn't reading it, I'm not sure. Anyways, we're just gonna keep it red. I'm gonna invert this. We're gonna position this and we're gonna make it smaller. So we have a bunch of tiny Keyshot things. There we go. And it's just black. Here's your Christmas Captain Hook, basically. Anyways, so what was I going to show you? Oh, okay. So let me just go turn off my repeat horizontal and vertical, and we have that. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And we're going to play the animation. And as you can see, it just stays there. So, so say if I move it there, which let's do it. Let's put it there. Something like that. As you can see, it's already being messed up. So if you go to your first frame, it's all good and fine, kinda. But when you move forward, such as here, it gets messed up. So if you don't need a label, don't put the label or don't put anything there. But if you do, one thing you can do, you can go to your actually you can go to your label and you can change the mapping type to UV. Now, as you can see, there are some weird things going on with UV, and I haven't quite figured it out yet. I was able to just put it on a box, but the box is just a box, and it doesn't have any curvatures or anything. So this is the problem with UV. I think I have to do some UV wrapping or unwrapping, but I do not know how to do it. So if you have a simple object, do the UV thing. If you don't, just get rid of the label. So now if you play it, you can see that the label actually stays where it's supposed to stay, and it actually bends and forms with your animation, which is actually pretty darn good. So yeah, and the reason I chose this hook is because I thought it would be funny, because these hooks usually do not bend at all. Yeah, like if a machine tries to bend it, it just breaks. There's a dog outside of my window. Funny, or is it a dog? It's a bird. Anyways, so that's basically it, guys, for today's tutorial. Hopefully, I start uploading at least every 2 weeks again. If not, then oh well. Just let me know what you thought about this tutorial, and be on the lookout for the second part. I'm gonna go into a more advanced mode, kinda, not really, but not so basic. And yeah, let me know what you think of this tutorial. Let me know if you have any questions. I just read all your comments and I answer your comments or your questions if you have any. And that's basically it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And yeah, bye.